From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
A rainy morning on this Thursday across central Indiana, and there's a potential for flooding. It is a WRTV Storm Team Alert Day, and we have our crews out monitoring road conditions. Todd is keeping a close eye on radar, and we know, Raphael, people like you who live in flood-prone areas are keeping a close eye on your homes this morning.
We're keeping a close eye on the ditch behind my home, but Todd, the other concern for many people throughout central Indiana is to check those storm drains. It's windy out there and the leaves are flying everywhere. Let's clear the storm drains, let all the water just flush away from all the homes.
Yeah, you know, I did that yesterday, and I cut my lawn for hopefully the final time, cleaned out the storm drain, because if you don't, you're going to have a lake in front of your house, and the rain's obviously causing lots of issues on the roadways, which Lauren will tell you about with numerous accidents. And this rain came in quite heavy just after midnight, and it's going to be with us here throughout the entire morning commute. So you really just need to give yourself some extra time. Some of the heaviest of the rainfall right now is in the Rockville area over to Bainbridge down towards Greencastle, and then that moderate rain extends into portions of the Brownsburg area back towards North Salem into Marion County and Speedway. Heavier rain in Noblesville as well as Carmel this morning. No lightning out there, though. That's the good news. No thunder and lightning here. This is just some plain old heavy rainfall. Anderson to Muncie, so I-69 really impacted here as you work your way through Madison, Delaware, and eventually into Marion County. Some pockets of moderate rainfall to the south, but starting to let up just a little bit. And the heaviest of the rain I think we see all day is what's occurring now and for the next couple hours. Once the remnants of Zeta here moves off to the east, all we'll have to deal with is this upper level low that's going to swing through later on this afternoon, and the rainfall with that will not be as intense as it is right now or as heavy. So as we work our way on TrueCast, you see by 10 a.m. the heaviest of the rain shifting to the east. By 1:30 we're dealing with a lighter rain. It's a little more scattered in nature, but you always need to have the umbrella handy throughout the day today, as rain will be in the forecast really probably until after sunset. That's when we'll finally start to dry out. And as far as temperatures today, we're going to be in the 40s. You're going to need to have the umbrella handy from start to finish, and it's also going to be windy, so these mid-40s are actually going to feel much cooler. Obviously, not the best weather day for us. The good news is we do have better days ahead. More on that in just a few minutes, but let's get you updated on those roadways, which are rough here this morning, Lauren.
All right, Todd, and this is a look at the delays right now on the southeast side due to a jackknife semi near Arlington Avenue. You're looking at stopped lanes of westbound traffic here along I-465. Your slowest spots start all the way up at Brookville Road there on the east side and wrap around that curve heading towards the Beech Grove area, and you can see that the lanes are barely moving through that spot. So let's take a look at our traffic now map at this hour. This is the trouble spot right here where you see that dot, a semi crash at Jackknife there in the westbound lanes just before Emerson Avenue there in Beech Grove. So keep that in mind. We also have some slowdowns on I-74 as you're getting onto that ramp system as well. Another major issue we're monitoring could impact your commute heading into the downtown area, southbound I-65, West Street and MLK, a Jackknife semi there in the right lanes. One left lane remaining open in that spot. Over on the east side, still monitoring a westbound right lane closed on I-70. This is near Emerson Avenue. This is also due to a semi-crash that happened earlier this morning, and we're still monitoring a crash here to our northwest. Right lane closed as you're traveling southbound on I-65 and you're approaching I-465. So just keep in mind as you're heading out on the roads, we do have the rain out there. State police tweeting out just moments ago that your best defense against hydroplaning is reducing your speed. So keep that in mind this morning, Raphael.
So Lauren, from trouble on the roads to some troubling numbers involving health across Indiana. This, of course, the latest on the pandemic's impact on the Hoosier State. 53 of Indiana's 92 counties have now been designated as higher risk locations for COVID-19 spread as we continue to record increasing hospitalizations and infections. Now, the highest risk counties are currently in the eastern region of our state, including hotspots in Fayette, Dearborn, and Ohio counties. Wednesday, 2,587 new cases of COVID-19 were reported statewide. To date, 169,112 Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus. State health officials also report 33 additional COVID-19 deaths. Since March, 3,991 Hoosiers have died with the virus. So far, October has had the most COVID-19 deaths, with 591 Hoosiers dying from COVID-19.
Here at 6:05, Raphael, we know that testing plays a big role in stopping the spread of the virus, and now the Trump administration is sending more than 2 million rapid antigen tests right here to the Hoosier State. These are called Binax Now tests, rapid point of care tests, and these diagnose the coronavirus infection in as little as 15 minutes. They can also be self-administered, meaning they require less PPE for healthcare workers. Governor Holcomb plans to deploy these tests to schools, as well as prioritizing the Department of Corrections and hotspots like Orange and Red counties across the state. Now, we do want to point out that the accuracy of these rapid tests isn't as high as the tests that take longer to get results. Patients experiencing symptoms may not get correct results, so think of these tests as another line of defense to check asymptomatic individuals. We spoke to Dr. Cole Beeler with IU Health about the accuracy of the test results and how the tests could aid in the fight against COVID-19.
The sensitivity, so how likely the test is to be positive if the person actually has COVID. And the reported numbers for the antigen are anywhere between 50 and 70%. So that's not great. However, if your pretest probability is low, like I was mentioning before, that's probably adequate to rule out disease. In those situations where you need that double check or peace of mind, or making sure that when you're in risky situations that you're not going to be spreading, I think there's a good basis to suggest that these might be beneficial in that situation. We'll just have to see.
Both Dr. Beeler and the Department of Health and Human Services stress that COVID tests are only a snapshot in time. They don't replace social distancing and mask wearing. Hand washing and physical distancing are also both important parts of the strategy to slow the spread of COVID-19. While the full interview with Dr. Beeler posted online at WRTV.com.
The time now is 6:07, and Lauren, drug overdoses are among the leading causes of death right here in our country. And this morning we're seeing a rise in the amount of overdose deaths amid this pandemic.
And so our Kelsey Anderson is joining us live now with more on this issue. Kelsey, good morning.
Hey, good morning. So I spoke to Justin Beatty. He's the training director at Mental Health America of Indiana, and he says there are two reasons for this increase. One being the lack of face-to-face interaction amid the stay-at-home order and the pandemic, and the other being that there are 3 new drugs that they've found here in Indiana. Studies show a rise across the country in overdose deaths, but here in Marion County, according to PubMed.gov, we are seeing a 47% rise in overdose deaths since the stay-at-home orders were put in place. Beatty says the main problem right now is isolation and the lack of social interaction.
Family members, community, work, whoever it may be, aren't being able to see the telltale signs that a lot of people look at, or they start looking at themselves. With the isolation, it's really led to a lot increase of the issues, but also a bigger increase of them not being able to be identified or have access to the resources available.
He says since the pandemic started, they have trained more than 500 people to help those interested in recovery now on the digital platform. If you want to get involved, visit this story on the WRTV News app. Another change that happened this summer is the FDA is now requiring new labeling on opioid medications. Now that labeling will have recommendations that healthcare professionals talk to their patients about the availability of naloxone. Again, that's on opioid medications. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Kelsey, thank you so much. There are some new resources for Indianapolis residents who may be struggling with their rent this morning. The website IndyRenterHelp.org aims to help tenants document their eligibility for protection under the CDC's nationwide eviction moratorium. The Office of Public Health and Safety and the Neighborhood Christian Legal Clinic partnered to provide the site. People facing eviction can also call the Tenant Information Hotline. That number there on your screen is 317-327-2228. You can find all this information and other resources by going to our website, WRTV.com, and clicking on this story.
Well, for days, Raphael, we've seen long lines at early voting sites.
There's been a great deal of frustration, Lauren, as you know, among people who in some cases have waited as long as 7 hours to cast their ballot. WRTV's political insiders weigh in on the lack of more voting sites and the overall impact.
What does that say about the status of voting and the interest in voting that the Marion County Clerk expanding the voting hours at the city-county building.
It's exciting to see that people are waiting in line, but the bad part about that is that for every person that's in that line, there's going to be people who see that line and don't go out and vote.
Republicans statewide and at the county level in Indiana have done everything they can to make it hard for you to vote. They only gave us 5 polling early satellite sites. Hamilton County has 6. We are a much larger county than Hamilton County, but because we're Marion County, we only get 5. The state of Indiana could have and should have done what they did in the primary, which was allow no-fault absentee. We don't have no-fault absentee, and it's because the governor refused to stand up to Donald Trump. And it's one of the most outrageous things this governor has done. It should have been no-fault absentee like it was in the primary. We have more COVID infections in the state of Indiana than we did when we made the decision to make it no-fault absentee. It's an outrage that people are having to wait 6 hours in Indianapolis to cast a vote. It makes me mad.
There was one plan that was presented to the election board, and it was approved unanimously, as is required by law, for the largest number of early voting sites in Marion County since we've started doing early voting. This in addition to all of the ability to do mail voting, and in addition to moving to vote centers where you can vote at any one of 188 locations for 12 hours on election day.
The one benefit about this whole process and the lines is it's going to educate voters as to how these decisions are made. And I think it's going to get them very engaged in this process at a much earlier stage and become much more active as to these decisions that are being made at your county level.
Our political insiders, thank you so much. And our Democracy 2020 coverage continues right now on WRTV.com.
Those folks do not need caffeine this morning. And on Tuesday, next Tuesday, it's Election Day Live here at WRTV, your place for local updated coverage all day long from the polls. We're looking at the key races, analysis, and the results when they come in. Look for us on the WRTV app on streaming devices such as Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, and Android TV. We'll also provide you live results throughout the night right here on WRTV with a complete wrap-up on the news at 11. On this Thursday, though, another big news story, of course, this is a Storm Team Alert Day. And Todd, you have a busy day ahead of you.
Yeah, it's very busy here. If you're heading out to stand in line to vote, just know that you're going to be very wet here throughout the morning hours as the steady rain continues. It'll taper off a little bit later on this afternoon, but some pretty hefty rainfall totals. Here are some totals in the central portion of the state. And you notice as you start to work your way north, the rainfall totals will decrease. Another inch and a half in Greenfield and Indy, only a half an inch additional in Crawfordsville. And as you work your way here into southern locations, this is where the flood watch is posted. So areas like Martinsville down to Bedford to Seymour, another 1 to 2 inches of rain. This is on top of what you've already seen so far, and that's why those flood watches are posted. Make sure you clean those storm drains in front of your house. As you get on the roadways, make sure you give yourself some extra time. And here in northern locations, you notice the rainfall rates really drop off for the totals. By the time you get to Monticello, Logansport, and Delphi, we're looking at about another 1/4 to a half an inch of rain.
Todd, thank you so much. Indianapolis leaders taking steps to fight the increasing violence right here in the Circle City. Coming up, the changes they're making with the community to help prevent crime. You're watching Good Morning Indiana on this Thursday on WRTV.
It is 6:16 on our Thursday, and here is a look right now at a parking lot just below the interstate. We had a semi jackknife on southbound I-65 at MLK West Street earlier this morning, and some of the debris fell to the ground below here in the parking lot. You can see the police tape is up, blocking off that area. This is a live look from our photographer, Jonathan Christians, there at the scene. They're still working to clear the semi on the interstate above that's blocking the right lanes as you're heading into the downtown area. So take it slow through that spot as you have to slide all the way over into the left lane. Raphael.
Patience this morning. Lauren, thank you. This morning, a triple shooting under investigation on the southeast side of Indianapolis. Metro Police say that this happened around 7 last night. Officers, they were called to Tyndall Street, that's near Troy Avenue between Shelby and Keystone. When they arrived, they found one man with gunshot wounds. Investigators say 2 other men drove themselves to the hospital, also with gunshot wounds. They believe all 3 of the men were in the same vehicle when they were shot. The shooter is believed to be a person who was in a different vehicle. And hours before those shootings, Indianapolis city leaders, Lauren, they held a public safety walk in the city.
And the goal of that walk is to bring the community and public safety officials together to try and find some solutions to our increasing crime. Mayor Joe Hogsett, Assistant Police Chief Chris Bailey, and other members of IMPD walked the streets of the Northwest Side. Mayor Hogsett says this increase in violence is something many cities are dealing with, but he and law enforcement should be held accountable as well. He also said the city is taking steps to build trust and to protect witnesses.
The City County Council, a couple of budgets ago, did begin allocating witness protection funds that are designed to provide some protection and anonymity to those who want to come forward and give the police information. But ultimately, it comes down to people having trust in IMPD and its officers, and we're working on that every single day.
The monthly public safety walks started back in 2017. Here at 6:19 on our Thursday, let's check in with Todd and what's going on the radar, Todd.
You know, it's a very active radar here this morning, and it's going to be rough for your morning commute here. If you don't have to get on the roadways right now, I'd encourage you to wait just a little while longer because the heaviest of the rain is continuing to move through right now. And we'll give you a little tour of central Indiana and show you where the rain's really coming down. Crawfordsville right now, down towards the Rockville area, and really I-74 from Crawfordsville all the way down into Brownsburg and eventually into the Speedway area, seeing some very heavy rain currently. Then a good band of heavy rain. You notice these brighter shades of orange or red from Noblesville just north of Anderson into the Muncie area, and then eventually as you make your way up into portions of the Portland area, you come a little further south. Marion County kind of divided with some lighter rain as you work your way south of Indianapolis. It's moderate rain from Broad Ripple to Castleton over to Geist up into Pike Township as well, and then we'll go a little further to the south, and light to moderate rainfall right now through many of our southern counties. But you've seen a very, very heavy rain so far here throughout the overnight and now into the early morning hours. This is part of a big system. You see, we are going to be continuing to deal with several more hours of rainfall. We'll go out a little bit further. We have an area of low pressure spinning away here near Kansas City. This is the remnants of Hurricane Zeta, and they're both kind of combining with the jet stream to produce all this heavy rainfall across the area. Let's go over to TrueCast, and I'll time it out for you here hour by hour so you can kind of plan your day. Now, your umbrella needs to be included in your day no matter what time frame you're walking out the door, whether it's this morning or this afternoon. The only difference is as we get into the afternoon hours, this heavy rainfall is going to start to move off towards the east. So we'll replace the steady and potentially heavy rainfall with more in the way of lighter, more scattered showers, but we're never going to completely get rid of the rain throughout the day today. So that's why you need to have the rain gear handy at all times. It's not until probably about 10, 11 o'clock tonight that the rain totally moves out, and then we'll start to dry things out. Just issued here within the last 10 minutes or so, this flood advisory for Bedford as well as Seymour, starting to see the water pile up in some areas there, especially low-lying areas. And all these counties are under a flood watch through the day today. As far as rainfall totals, this is in addition to what we've seen already. You notice we're looking at still probably another 1 to 2 inches of rainfall to the south. It does decrease as you work your way to the north to about a ½ an inch of rain. So this is one of the larger soaking rains that we have seen in quite a while. We've only had these thunderstorms kind of come through, giving us brief periods of rain here and there. Temperatures are in the 40s right now. We stay in the 40s throughout the day with this rain heavy at times. Tomorrow, though, is a brighter day for us as we get the sunshine back. The temperatures, though, still on the cool side, as we'll only be in the 40s for your day tomorrow, or right around 50 degrees for your high. Saturday's a better day for us with sunshine, 56 degrees, so Halloween is looking very nice. Turn the clocks back 1 hour Saturday night. Don't forget to do that. And then as we head into Sunday, it's cool and breezy. Election day, though, is looking very nice with lots of sunshine and a high temperature of 56 degrees. Lauren.
All right, Todd, thank you. Let's take a look at traffic right now as you're heading southbound on I-65 from the north side of town, northwest side. This is what it'll look like as you get to West Street and MLK approaching the downtown area. Jackknife semi crash cleanup still ongoing in the right lane, so only one left lane is open here, so traffic moving pretty slowly as you head past that. And if you need to get off at Meridian Street right after this, you need to use caution to get back over to the right lane. And we also know there's debris down below, but overall we'll continue to monitor this from both the skies here from our camera and then down below from our crew at the scene. We're also monitoring another issue that's making just a parking lot out of the westbound lanes of I-465. We have a jackknife semi here as well. This one's near Arlington Avenue, but that backup is stretching back past I-74 there as you're rounding the curve on I-465 on the southeast side. Give yourself some extra time, maybe avoid this spot if you can. Take it easy out there. We know we have really wet roads this morning. We'll be back with more news, weather, and traffic just after the break. The time right now is 6:25 on your Thursday. Raphael, it is time to chat about what is trending at 6. As you can see, we're both wearing our orange today. Halloween is almost here. And who doesn't love to carve a pumpkin? I'm a little lazy though. I haven't done this yet this year, but this is this is a popular tradition for one man in Pennsylvania, and he's taking it to a whole new level. Joel Kiefer and his team have carved giant pumpkins like this for more than 20 years now. So he went with a COVID-19 theme this year. Yeah, look how big that is. A happy face and a mask into this nearly 1,200-pound gourd. People come and see Kiefer's creation in his front yard every year. The attraction also helps to raise money for the Salvation Army. That is a lot of seeds to dig out, Raphael.
I think baby Archie would love if Mom this afternoon, because it's so rainy out there, on the patio, inside patio, to maybe carve a little gourd or a pumpkin. I'm just saying.
He would like that.
Speaking for baby Archie.
Yes.
We're about the same height, same age, I'm thinking, so.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind.
I'll work on it.
Hey, on this Thursday, time to enjoy the fall foliage, which of course is hard to see at this hour of the day. This picture from Eddie and Kathy Cabello. They were mowing, they stopped, they looked up, and take a look at this picture. What a beautiful look of the foliage. This is in Indianapolis near Eagle Creek. Of course, we'll continue to share the photos of the seasonal change in central Indiana over the next couple of days. And Todd Clausen, if you step outside this morning, you may want to leave with this image because outside doesn't look too good.
No, not at all. And of course, those leaves causing some issues out there for slick conditions on the roadways, clogging storm drains, potentially leading to some localized flooding in your neighborhood. So clean those out if you get a chance here this morning. As far as your commute, you got to slow down on the roadways. Lots of accidents so far this morning that Lauren's been telling you about. And if you're just joining us, hang on here for a little while. She'll update you on lots of issues, especially on the interstate. But your windshield wipers will be going very quickly here throughout the day today. Here's a current look at Storm Team radar, and you can see anywhere you are in central Indiana, you're dealing with a rainfall. And some of the rain is coming down quite heavy in spots. Now, it's just rain. There's no thunderstorms. There's no lightning, so you don't have to worry about that. But as I mentioned, just give yourself some extra time for your morning commute. It's definitely wetter this morning than it will be this afternoon. This afternoon, we kind of taper things off to more in the way of scattered showers with temperatures today, Raphael, that will only be in the mid to upper 40s.
Todd, we'll keep up to date with you, of course, as you keep giving us the latest information on that radar. The pandemic has put a lot of new movies on hold, but there's a whole lot of new content coming soon to streaming sites coming up next month. Consumer reporter John Matteries with the very latest so that you don't waste your money.
In case you haven't noticed, there aren't many new movies during this pandemic, but if you have streaming TV, there are a bunch of new flicks and series to keep you entertained through November. Time to warm up the big screen TV. MarketWatch.com says Disney Plus may be must-see TV this November. The service has just launched a new season of The Mandalorian. Plus, it has the remake of the space flick The Right Stuff. Netflix launches The Crown Season 4 on November 15th, and it'll premiere the movie Hillbilly Elegy, filmed locally in Middletown. At Apple TV Plus, you have the new Bruce Springsteen documentary, Letter to You, and Apple has all the Charlie Brown holiday specials that are now gone from network TV. Amazon Prime Video has the new Borat subsequent movie film, and HBO Max has Nicole Kidman's The Undoing series and The Flight Attendant starring Kaylee Cuoco. Yes, all these services have a monthly fee, but Apple TV Plus is free if you buy an iPhone this year, so you don't waste your money. I'm John Matteries. Good morning, Indiana.
From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
Now on Good Morning Indiana, here is your 6:30 news feed on this Thursday. The State Department of Health reported 33 additional COVID-19 deaths on Wednesday. So far, there have been 591 deaths linked to COVID-19 in the month of October alone. Cases also continue to rise with more than 2,500 new cases reported on Wednesday.
The Marion County Election Board will vote this Friday on whether Lucas Oil Stadium should be an early voting site the weekend before the election. The Marion County Clerk's office is making the push as some early voting sites here have been plagued with long lines. This proposal must be unanimously approved by the Democrats and Republicans that make up the election board.
IUPUI has announced 2 new initiatives to support the African American community. The university is establishing a new Center for Africana Studies and Culture. The school has also created a new scholarship program as well. It will be available to students who are related to families displaced by the development of the IUPUI campus and are pursuing their first undergraduate degree. On this Thursday, this is a Storm Team 6 alert day. And of course, Lauren, my big question this morning for Todd Clausen is, will I need an ark?
Yeah, I know Raphael's keeping a close eye on that creek that kind of runs right behind your house, Raphael. A lot of rain coming down on the roads. Yeah, so we've had a lot of issues in the traffic department. We'll get to that in just a minute, but first let's check out radar with Todd.
Yeah, you know, this rain's been coming down quite heavy throughout the overnight hours and now into your morning commute. And it's going to continue for a few more hours before it kind of tapers off and gets a little bit lighter. So you have to, 1, give yourself some extra time, and 2, as you do get on the roadways, look out for some ponding out there. Definitely a possibility with the rainfall rates we have seen throughout the overnight hours. Rockville to Bainbridge, then north on 231 up into Crawfordsville. Some very, very heavy rainfall that impacts 74 as well as you work your way through that southwest portion of Boone County. Lebanon, some moderate rainfall. Noblesville to Anderson, down into the Greenfield area, some heavy rain, as well as Muncie. And then as we slide to the south, it's a little bit lighter, but still a widespread anywhere you go. So it's a wet morning commute, and honestly, it's going to be a wet day throughout the afternoon hours as well. This area of low pressure off to our west still has to rotate through the area. As that comes through, the rain will be a little bit lighter, and it won't be quite as widespread as it is currently, and you can see that on TrueCast. Through 10:30, it's still raining pretty good across the area, but as we get into the afternoon hours, we lose those dark greens, the orange and the yellow colors on TrueCast. That's indicating a lighter rain, but still it's going to be a nuisance out there throughout the remainder of the day. So just have the rain gear handy. Give yourself some extra time, some patience as you get on the roadways. Temperatures are sitting in the 40s and 50s this morning, and honestly, temperatures really not going to do much throughout the day today. If anything, it's going to feel even cooler because the wind is going to pick up throughout the course of the afternoon hours. So the umbrella, while you can use it this morning, the jacket with the hood may be the better option later on today, Lauren, as that wind starts to pick up across the area.
All right, Todd, let's start with the good news. That crash we talked about earlier at I-70 in Emerson, that one's clear. The one on the northwest side at I-65, I-465, that one is clear, but we're still monitoring this issue as you approach the downtown area at I-65 southbound here at West Street and MLK. Only one left lane open, and traffic is moving slowly past this jackknifed semi here that's blocking the right lanes of traffic. This is something we'll continue to monitor as we get closer to the rush hour this morning. Give yourself that extra time on the northwest sides of town if you take I-65 for your commute. Let's take it down to an area where we had some major stop and go traffic here. It's still a little heavy at I-465. This is near I-74. We had a jackknifed semi near Arlington Avenue right before the Beech Grove exit at Emerson Avenue. So traffic here is moving again. That is good news for your commute. We'll continue to keep an eye out for any delays. Looks like we still have a few slow spots, a few bumps in the road along the southeast side. So just use caution as you're heading out there, since we do have such wet, saturated roads this morning all across central Indiana. At 6:34, Raphael, October is Down Syndrome Awareness Month. About 6,000 babies are born with Downs every year.
And this morning, Lauren, Grammy Award-winning singer and actress Stephanie Mills joins us here on Good Morning Indiana with a special message just for you. Her son wrote a book. It's called The Adventures of Farad J. The young man who's homeschooled showed his skills for storytelling by writing a children's book. We spoke to his mom, Stephanie Mills, via Zoom.
Oh, Farad, this is wonderful. If you finish the book, I'll publish it for you as a birthday gift. And that's what happened. We published it as a birthday gift, and he writes all the time.
He's a special young man who happens to have Down syndrome. Down syndrome does not define him. But what do you want people to know about this amazing young man who's an author?
You know, I was 45 when I became pregnant with Farad. I was told to abort and to that he wouldn't smile, he wouldn't do anything that was what we call normal. But I didn't care because I felt like if my son had one eye, I was going to have him and we were going to rock this world together. So now he's an A student. He's written a book. I want parents to know, with people with special babies, there are special babies and they're gifts. And don't just toss them aside. Don't listen to doctors tell you that they can't do anything. Because I never put limitations on my son. There's no glass ceiling. I mean, he can go. Just the other day, he told me he wanted to be president. You know, I would help him become president. You just never know.
If I read the book, The Adventures of Farad J., what do you want parents to learn from that young man's book?
His sense of humor, his sense of love and people. And he loves to do pranks. He loves to have fun. Just like his mom. I used to do pranks when I was in the Wiz, you know, and do a lot of things to people to just have fun and laugh. So they will come away just with laughter.
Again, the wonderful Stephanie Mills, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Stay safe.
You be safe as well. Farad's book is currently on sale right now online at faradjm.com. And by the way, this Saturday, Down Syndrome Indiana will host their annual Buddy Walk, but this year it will be virtual. Please join them and support them and all the Indiana families this weekend. Their website for details is dsindiana.org. Lauren?
Oh, I love that story, Raphael. He is a blessing to us all. Thank you. Well, here's a problem that's on the rise during this pandemic. Next, what you can do to help slow down what's become one of the leading causes of death here in our country. It's 6:36 on our Thursday, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. This was already a major problem in our country before the pandemic, but experts, Lauren, now say that COVID-19 is leading to even more drug overdoses.
Yeah, it impacts more families than we even know, Raphael. And so our Kelsey Anderson is joining us live this morning with what doctors are noticing and what you can do to help. Kelsey.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning. So overdoses are up across the country, but we know specifically here in Indiana, in Marion County, according to PubMed.gov, that overdose deaths are up almost 50% since the stay-at-home orders were put in place.
Looking and seeking recovery, there has to be connection. And we have had mandates for there not to be connection.
Along with the lack of face-to-face interactions amid the pandemic, Justin Beatty tells me there are new drugs on the streets.
We've recently found here in Indiana, there's 3 new synthetic opioids that have hit the street that aren't showing up on fentanyl tests.
Beatty is the director of the Mental Health America Indiana Training Institute. He says since the pandemic started, they have noticed an increase in overdose deaths.
People are crafty. They're going to find ways to get around stuff. So, I mean, this is going to continue to happen until we look at the deeper root of that connection and making everybody feel supported with the resources that are available to them.
The best way to combat this, Beatty says, is with compassion and letting users know the resources available to them. And he says since May, they have trained more than 500 behavioral health professionals.
We switched in March to a new culture that wasn't existent in behavioral health of the digital format. So we've had to make sure people know how to support people through a computer screen, telephonically, and things like that.
As someone in long-term recovery, Beatty says seeing people make small changes towards the road to recovery makes even the tough days worth it.
To watch someone kind of just not even get to that point where they're smiling yet, but you see the shoulders shrug a little bit less. You start to see that little pickup in their voice, you know, those kind of things to really hear that, hey, I know positive change is available for me, and I think this might be something I can do.
So if you're interested in getting some of that training, or you or a family member needs some of those resources available to you, you can head over to this story on the WRTV News app for more information. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
All right, a wet morning for us all across the area as a Storm Team 6 alert day. Definitely going to impact your morning commute with water on the roadways, no matter where you are here across central Indiana. It's not an isolated event. This is widespread. Band of heavier rain right now from Crawfordsville to Lebanon, now into the Frankfort area, Noblesville, Anderson, Muncie, Newcastle, down into the Greenfield. Some pretty heavy rain as we slide down to the south. It's still raining, obviously, but it's not quite as heavy as it was in southern locations earlier this morning. But some pockets of moderate rain here in Martinsville impacting Indiana 37 there, as well as when it turns into I-69 as you work your way down into Monroe County. And there's plenty more rain to come. This is going to be with us throughout the entire day. So as you plan your day, just plan on having the umbrella around through all the day parts. The hooded jacket may be a better option as we get into the afternoon hours. The rain will kind of decrease in intensity as we get into the afternoon and evening hours, but the wind is going to pick up, so maybe turning some of those umbrellas inside out. Bottom line is extra time needed on the roadways here this morning, and prepare yourself for kind of a washout of a day. We haven't had one of these in quite some time, but brighter days are ahead, and it includes your weekend forecast. More on that coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues in just a couple minutes.
Welcome back. We are still monitoring a jackknifed semi crash here heading into the downtown area in the southbound lanes of I-65 near West Street and MLK. Only one left lane remains open in this area, but the good news is traffic is still moving. It's not at a standstill, but it is slowing down traffic. The slowest spots between 21st Street all the way down to the Meridian Street area. So keep that in mind if this is part of your commute. We'll continue to monitor this and let you know when everything is clear. Well, it's not on the ballot for this election, but the legalization of marijuana is once again an issue. It was one of the topics this week at the final debate for the candidates for governor, Raphael.
And so, Lauren, a recent poll found that a majority of Hoosiers are in favor of marijuana legalization. So I took that question, that issue, to the WRTV political insiders.
The gubernatorial debate did focus on jobs, racial equity, but marijuana also seemed to have been a topic of interest. So is the state ready, KIP 2, to move towards legalizing marijuana for medicinal purposes?
Not to get too much further into the weeds about weed, but I want to add to Megan's point, and that is that there are 30-some states already that do it. So there's a lot of research out there. Marijuana isn't good for you. I don't want anybody to be misunderstood. For recreational purposes. It's not necessarily a great thing, but it's no worse than alcohol. And that's the point, really. People ought to have the freedom to enjoy recreational marijuana like they have the freedom to enjoy recreational alcohol. That's the bottom line. And you can talk about medical statistics about everything. Alcohol is worse for you than marijuana.
And also, when you're looking at places who have struggled with the opioid crisis and doling out medications to deal with pain issues, from a personal perspective, my wife has Crohn's. They try to give her opioids to deal with that. Marijuana would be a much safer, better way to address pain management for lots of individuals. And I think it would be a very positive thing.
It is actually something that just makes common sense, frankly. And even Attorney General candidate Jonathan Weinzapfel, who's running on the Democrat side, announced this week that he is in support of legalizing marijuana and taking those funds and using them for education, for criminal justice reform. I think the figure I saw is that $170 million could be raised just by legalizing and taxing it.
But this would be a politically popular and probably budget-friendly thing to do. However, if you are a conservative of any stripe, we should be following the laws. And I think what has happened here is that Congress has failed to create law that would be conducive to this. I mean, the fact is that this stuff is still illegal on the federal level, and states that have legalized it are operating on shaky ground and kind of a wink and a nod understanding with the federal government on whether or not they're going to enforce the laws that are on the books.
Thank you so much. Our political insiders, thank you so much. And our Democracy 2020 coverage continues right now on WRTV.com.
So here's that poll that I mentioned just a few moments ago. It was conducted by Survey USA earlier this month. It found that a majority of Hoosiers believe that marijuana should be legal for both medical and recreational use. Another 24% believe it should be legal for medical purposes only. 16% of Hoosiers say marijuana should remain illegal. A reminder that all of our political insiders will be right here on Election Day for our Election Day live coverage on WRTV. We'll have coverage from the polls all day on Election Day. We'll look at all the key races, plus have analysis and those results when they come in. Look for us on the WRTV app on the streaming devices such as Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, and Android TV. We'll also provide you with results throughout the evening here on WRTV with a complete wrap-up on the news at 11. Right now, though, it is a storm team alert day, and Todd Clausen is busy with all that rain.
Yeah, very active radar here across central Indiana, Raphael, this Thursday morning, and it's definitely going to impact your day in multiple ways on the roadways. If you don't have to get out on the roadways, just if you're going to be out and about, we're going to be dealing with this rain really from start to finish. It's pretty steady this morning and heavy at times. As we transition into the afternoon hours, I still think it's fairly steady, but it's going to be a little bit lighter, so that's a good news. But it's not until this evening after sunset that the rain really starts to taper off. Here's a live look at storm team radar, and you can see this band of heavy rain that stretches all the way across the state, really from the Portland area all the way back into Terre Haute. We'll go into the metro area first here, and there's some pockets of moderate rain in and around Indianapolis impacting 465, but downtown the rain's a little bit lighter. But look at this, you just have to go a little outside of town, Brownsburg to Lebanon, over into the Zionsville area, some heavy rainfall. It's a little lighter down here to the south with just some pockets of moderate rainfall. And then off towards the east, Muncie into Winchester, farmlands, down into Newcastle, some very heavy rainfall currently coming down, Anderson as well. And then as we slide a little further off towards the north and west, it's lighter in Lafayette in the Delphi area, but Frankfort and then into the Tipton area, Kokomo, some rain. What you do not see on radar is any lightning. This is just plain old rain. We are not going to be dealing with any thunderstorms, but this is a big system. In fact, it's kind of a combination of two systems. That's the remnants of Hurricane Zeta quickly moving up into the Carolinas. Then we have this area of low pressure that is off to our west. What's going to happen is Zeta is going to take the bulk of the rain that we're currently dealing with and pull it off towards the east. But then this upper level, though, is going to rotate through the area. So that's why I do expect a transition to more in the way of lighter rain this afternoon, even though it'll still be fairly steady, as the stronger storm system is the remnants of the hurricane. Here we are at 10:30 this morning, still some pretty heavy rain taking place, but once we get to the afternoon hours, the rain becomes a little lighter across the area, and then eventually it starts to wrap up as we work our way into the overnight hours, and that finally sets us up for a dry stretch of weather going forward all the way into the weekend. Rainfall totals on top of what we've seen could see another inch in the metro area, up to 2 inches in southern locations. To the north, it's a little bit less. Temperatures today, we're in the 40s right now. That's where we stay throughout the remainder of the day. Tomorrow's a brighter day, an opportunity again to dry out a little bit. It's chilly though, with the temperature only in the upper 40s to right around 50 degrees. Saturday's bright at 56 with lots of sunshine. Should be a nice Halloween for us across the area. Sunday 47, but pretty windy. And then we get to Monday morning. That is not a typo. 28 degrees in the city. Everybody should be in the 20s across the area. A hard freeze likely. And then for Election Day, no weather-related issues, which is good news for anybody standing in line, with lots of sunshine and highs in the mid-50s. Lauren?
All right, Todd, thank you. We do have an update for you on traffic here. Heading into the downtown area, if your commute normally takes you southbound on I-65 as you approach West Street and MLK, we still have that jackknife semi cleanup in the right lanes, only one left lane remaining open. And we just got word that NDOT crews have closed the ramp from southbound I-65 to Meridian Street. That's the one right before the north split, as they work to clean up this semi crash. So keep that in mind. Maybe get off the interstate if you're just trying to get into the downtown area before this mess, maybe back near 30th or 38th Street. Take some side streets to reroute into downtown this morning. Expect delays. As you can see, things are moving pretty slowly. Crews are still out there. And let's take another look at the backup. It's wrapping around the area near the hospital system here. You can see it's just at a standstill there. So this will impact your northwest side commute heading towards the downtown area. We'll continue to keep you updated.
Thank you so much for that. The resurgence in the pandemic means it's getting more difficult to find some of those key staples at the grocery store. Coming up on Good Morning America, right here on WRTV, how food companies are trying to be better prepared for that supermarket rush. You're watching Good Morning Indiana on this Thursday, right here on WRTV.
Time right now is 6:56 on Good Morning Indiana. Raphael, it has been a busy morning on the roads because of all the rain that's out there.
It is a storm team alert day, and meteorologist Todd Clausen has been following all the rain. And Todd, if you and Lauren are coming down to visit me for lunch, I hope you won't need a kayak today.
I don't think that's going to be the case here, Raphael, but we are going to be dealing with a lot of heavy rainfall here throughout the course of the morning hours. This band of rain from Terre Haute, Indianapolis, back up into portions of the Muncie area. And we'll give you a little bit of a closer look here where the heavy rain is right now. Rockville up into Lebanon, and then as we slide a little further to the north, the heaviest of the rain in Muncie. A little bit lighter down to the south, but it's still going to have an impact on your roadways. This is a big storm system. A lot of rain off to our west that still has to work its way through, so have the umbrella handy from start to finish throughout the day today. The good news is tomorrow starts a dry stretch of weather, Lauren, that'll take us all the way into the middle of next week.
And Todd, we'll continue to monitor the traffic issues outside this morning. Use caution for your commute.